Hey, all, today we're going to continue talking about algebraic expressions. Last lesson, we evaluated them by plugging numbers in or substituting numbers or replacing. And today we are going to simplify algebraic expressions. Again, a reminder that algebraic expressions are called expressions because there is no equal sign. And we can either evaluate them or simplify them. And so when we're simplifying them, we are not going to have numbers to plug in for the letters. What we're going to do is just do as much or as many operations as we can until we're not allowed to do anything else, and then that thing will be considered simplified. So here I am going to talk about the distributive property. I have this expression 7 times x plus 4, and x plus 4 is in parentheses. The 7 is next to the parentheses. And then whenever we have something that looks like that, that implies that there is multiplication. So when we put a number next to a parentheses, that's telling us we need to multiply. And we have this sort of mini expression inside of the parentheses where we have this operation of addition. We're not allowed to add x plus 4 because one is a constant and the other one is a variable. But what we can do is we can multiply 7 times this expression x plus 4, and we do that by distributing the 7. That means we multiply every term, which we talked about in the last lesson. We multiply every term by that number that is outside. So I am going to multiply 7 times x, and that looks like just 7 with x next to it. I'm going to put a plus sign. I'm just going to bring that plus sign down, and I'm going to multiply 7 times 4. And we can show that by putting the 4 in parentheses. 7 times x will not change because we don't know what x is, so we can leave that just the way it is. 7 times 4 we can do. If you can do it in your head, that's fine. If you want to use decimals, that's okay too. 7 times 4 is 28. And we're going to have that plus there still. There's nothing else we can do to this expression, and so we would consider it simplified. So I'm going to do a couple more of those before I ask you to do some on your own. It's a good idea to use this method where we draw the arrows so we know I need to multiply 5 by m and 5 by 2. So I'm going to do negative 5 times m. Well, we do that just by writing them next to each other. I'll bring down that minus sign. And then I'm going to have negative 5, which I will put in parentheses, times 2. That stays the same. Negative 5 times 2, you can use your calculator if you want to, gives us negative 10. And then whenever we have two minus signs next to each other, we can clean that up by putting them together. A minus and a minus makes a plus. And that is our simplified expression. That's as far as we can go. And I'll do one more that's a little more complicated, but only because we've added a term, but we still do things the same way. Our process doesn't change. We want to multiply 2 times every term in this parentheses. And so I'm going to do 2 times x, which is just 2x. Bring down my minus sign and do 2 times y, which is just 2y. Bring down my plus sign. And I'm going to do 2 times 8. And you can do that right now in this step. 2 times 8 is 16. I can't combine any of these terms. And so I am done. So you're going to try one of those on your own. Choose the best answer that represents what our expression will look like when we've simplified it. Put your answer into the box, and then you can check your answer because I'll put the right one up. So hopefully you chose B. If you didn't get B, please raise your hand and ask me for help. I'd be glad to help you fix the mistake. If you did choose B, then we can move on. So I mentioned on that last problem something called like terms. Like terms are things that we can combine. And what makes terms alike is that they're either constants or they have the exact same variable. So if I go through this expression, this is the one I used in the last lesson to tell you about the parts of an expression. If I go through, I'm going to go ahead and circle all of the terms that have an x. And it's important to know that whatever operation is in front of that term, that tells you if that term is positive or negative. So this 5x has a minus in front of it, that means it's negative. This 4x has a plus in front of it, that means it's positive. So I can actually put those three things together. I can combine their coefficients, 7, -5, and +4, and put them together. Before I do that, I'm going to rewrite them next to each other so that I can organize my thoughts. I can also, I'm going to underline my constants. And again, the operation in front of that constant tells you if it's positive or negative. So I have a +3, a +8, and a -1. So now I'm going to go and I am going to combine these like terms here just by combining their coefficients. So 7 - 5 is 2, and 2 + 4 is 6. And then I will put the variable x there. Then I can put these together. 3 + 8 is 11. 11 - 1 is 10. That's +10, so I'm going to say +10. And now I have a simplified expression. Please do use Desmos if you need it, and also ask me if you need some help. I'll do a couple more before I have you do one. It's a good idea to organize your thoughts, so I like the idea of circling things that look alike. So I have a 9 and a 5 that are both constants. And this 6w is the only variable term that I have, so it's just going to stay the way it is. I can do 9 + 5, and I'll bring down my -6w because it doesn't have any partners in this expression. 9 + 5 is 14, -6w. That's as much as I can do. We can't combine 14 and -6w because they are not like terms. One of them is a constant, and the other one is a variable term with the letter w. Here I have a 7p, which is positive. If there's no operation in front of it, we assume it's positive. A -9p, so I'm going to write those together. And then we have a -1 and a +5. And so we can do 7p - 9p just by doing 7 - 9, which gives us -2, and then we'll keep the variable. We can combine -1 and +5 and get +4, and so we'll put a plus sign, and that's as simple as that gets. So I want you to try this one. Make sure you choose the simplified version of our original expression. And then after you answer the question, I will have the answer for you. So hopefully you got B. If you didn't get B, that's okay. Please do ask me for help so we can fix any mistake. If you did this by hand, you might have written it as -9 plus 4. And that's okay. Those are the same things. They look different, but they have the same terms, a -9n and a +4. But obviously the answer choice was in this format. If you got this right and you feel confident, you can go on to the practice. There are 8 questions to follow this. If you need a little help, get that help before you do some practice so that you can practice correctly. Take your time on the practice and good luck. Sorry about that.